Warriors, did you know that March is Women's History Month? Hmm. Let me fill you in about this. First of all, it was declared Women's History Month in 1982. So that's about 40 years ago to celebrate trailblazing women, women who broke the glass ceiling, suffragettes. But here's my question to you, warriors. How in 2022 can we celebrate Women's History Month, the month of March, when here in New York, where I live, where I work, we're facing the full decriminalization of the sex trade? Now, let's break this down. It is the most debilitating law that is potentially going to be passed here in New York, and it will sweep our entire country. What does this mean? It means that the sex trade will be decriminalized. Of course, we want vulnerable people that are prostituted, if they want to be helped, exit strategies, psychological, medical, housing, job training. If you have to understand all the studies that go along with this, warriors. You can always go to linswarriors.org, go to news and events, or take actions and look for those studies and read yourselves that most of these people in prostitution are forced into it. We're talking about very vulnerable people. They don't have a choice. So I don't want to hear that nonsense with they could walk away. They do have a choice. Pretty woman scenario. Stop it. It's 2022. It's a whole different thing, warriors. So, and they don't have a choice. And most of these women and girls and boys and men are of color. So we're further, holding them down and not allowing them to reach their full potential. And I'll be posting, actually I did, if you go to my Facebook or Twitter at Lynn's Warriors, by our good friend Taina Bename, who is the executive director of the Coalition Against Trafficking in Women, wrote a wonderful history of the Black woman in slavery. Because you know what? Prostitution, decriminalizing the sex trade, is slavery. Now let me explain. We have more slavery going on today in 2022 than any other time in history. The full decriminalization of the sex trade will be legalized slavery. The demand is for children. In order to fill the demand, more people will be trafficked. Do you think a woman or a girl or a boy or a guy is just out there? There's an open market and they can operate alone? No. There is a trafficker, pimp right there watching everything, collecting that money. We propose the equality model. We want vulnerable people decriminalized, helped, but, and this is the important part, warriors, we want to hold responsible pimps, traffickers, brothel owners, all those horrible people that are doing this to others. That, my friends, is called the equality model. And I want all of you to go to equalitymodelnewyork.org and read more about this. Again, equalitymodelnewyork.org. Lynn's Warriors is a proud steering member committee. I can't urge all of you enough. This will trickle down into your homes and neighborhoods. It affects all of us because where there are no laws in the sex trade, there will be a demand for more product. So where's the product coming from? More people will be trafficked. Could be your child or your grandchild. So I want you to brush up on full decriminalization of the sex trade. Cannot have it. It is further endorsed by the corporate media and also by pretty much, well, right here in New York, a lot of the politicians, most of the politicians, they are listening. We have a new administration and they are listening to, so far, only one side, and that is the pro-sex trade side, the sex worker side. You see, with the equality model, we don't believe there is such thing as a sex worker. Sex is not work. And this term is being bandied about quite frequently lately. Why would you want your little girl or boy to grow up and be a sex worker, to be abused by strangers, to be marginalized, to be, these sex buyers, they're paying money for something it's abuse. I work with survivors. I want everybody to listen to survivors, to hear from survivors, to see what they go through, what their mental state is, what their physical, what their body is about. It is deplorable. It is disgusting that we have people who are promoting this. When I talk about corporate media, I'm going to refer back to this past Sunday. I don't know when you're watching this. Today is March 2nd. So this past Sunday, John Oliver does a show on HBO. Last week with John Oliver. Now, I don't pretend that I watch this show, care about this show, but that's not the point. It was brought to my attention through our New Yorkers for the Equality group that his show was called Sex Work. So, of course, Warriors, I had to view it before I could comment on it. It is a love story to the sex trade, full promotion. Now, Warriors, that's fine if you want to present, that side. But really, not having the survivor voice part of it, not presenting the harms caused by the sex trade, because I want to remind everybody, this normalization, let me unravel it a little bit. This normalization of the sexualization of everyone in society, but really also of our children in the last decade, has led to people are buying somebody and they are asking and performing horrendous sex acts. We're not just talking about sex. We're talking about horrific things. And I'll just leave it at that because we're a family show. So we're talking about March is Women's History Month. And I say, but we're talking about this full decriminalization of the sex trade, where more vulnerable women and girls will be marginalized, where kids will grow up thinking, I'll just be a sex worker. Wrong, horrific, horrifying. So I'm asking all of you to take action and to join me. I'm urging you. I'm actually begging you. Go to linswarriors.org. Go to Take Action. Go to the Equality Model. Sign on to our letter of support. Or simply just go to equalitymodelnewyork.org. Statement of support. Add your name and your zip code. If you're in New York, we need all of you. We cannot do this alone. I am horrified by John Oliver, by HBO. And if you go to my Twitter and Facebook at Lynn's Warriors, I urge all of you to contact them because, numbers count. It is horrific that we think our girls and women, boys and men, but think of the kids, can grow up and be a sex worker, be abused and used and paid for. It's 2022. I also want to mention that last night was a State of the Union, and I was given a little bit of forewarning yesterday afternoon that the president would be mentioning our youth and their mental health. So I gave it a whirl, watched it. I want to say to you, I know that whether it's a Republican, whether it's a Democrat, that the State of the Union is nothing more than a cheerleading session, a rah-rah session, but I was horrified. I am sitting in the middle of New York City. When I heard Biden say, fund the police, and people jumped to their feet, including Kamala Harris, who had funded members of Black Lives Matter, who want to do nothing but defund the police. It's a bold, outright lie, because as I sit here, our new DA, Alvin Bragg, wants restorative justice, Warriors. He doesn't want to put people in jail. He's taking them out of the jails. Anybody, there's a couple of stories today, one in particular, I don't even want to say it, where some crazy criminal the other day smeared, I'll just say feces, disgusting, in a woman's face in the subway waiting for a train. Right before I started this video, I got a news alert that no jail for him because of bail reform. Restorative justice. Alvin Bragg is one of about 100 DAs across the country being well funded for this bail reform, for, everything's about the criminal, not about us, the people. So to hear this last night, and we know with the elections coming up and, fund the police and people are jumping to their feet and clapping. What hypocrisy. I hope you can all see through this because I am working so hard here in New York City along with many other great groups and organizations on the not only the city but on the state, also on the federal level, uh, to help all vulnerable people because our government is not doing enough. I also gave it a whirl that hearing about social media harms. What's happening with that? Nothing. Frances Haugen, the so-called whistleblower, was brought to our attention, and she stood up and gave a little wave, and that was that. But nothing. That was like a checklist last night. Bold, outright lies, I will say to you, because I work with all of this. And they don't care about our border. They don't care about, let's get something straight. There's human smuggling going on, bringing people across who want to be in the United States. And then there's human trafficking people for sex, including children. So when I hear we have to, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't really, I'm doing this late at night as usual. I don't really remember the exact words out of Biden, something to the effect of we have to protect our borders, or we have to close our borders, or outright lies. We have almost 2 million people we know about in the last year have come over the border. That doesn't include all the ones that we don't know about. And there's a lot of those. And we know a good portion of them, and nobody talks about this, are children, are teens. Where are they going? Are they being sex trafficked? I dare say yes, a lot of them. Forced servitude? I think so. Nobody knows. Nobody can answer where these kids are going. So to hear this last night, my blood has been boiling. I've been all day angry, but luckily for me, being a warrior, angry makes me work harder, not retreat. So to hear these bold, outright lies when I know our children, our people are not being helped is disgusting. And all the more reason for you to become a warrior in your own home and community, something I always tell you, because so much is happening. Ukraine, Russia. We won't go there. It's overwhelming. It's frightening. It's scary. How are you going to talk to the kids about all that? You're simply going to protect them and love them and kiss them and hug them and keep them away from cable news is what I suggest. All news. They will be safe, and you will tell them that. With that, because it is so overwhelming, you need to just really focus on what's going on in your own household and just stay in your lane and work on that, because the rest is too much. And you'll leave it up to the warriors like myself to deal with a lot of things. So we have that going on. I want to remind all of you, if you are in the New York or tri-state area and want to venture to Rockefeller Center next Thursday, March 10th, Warriors Live at 3 West Club, which is 3 West 51st Street, right off of Fifth Avenue. We'll be giving a live presentation with our board member, Dr. Ann Ritchie, who is an emergency trauma pediatrician who deals with human trafficking, girls and women, and the Honorable Fernando Camacho, New York State judge, talking about the legalities, this restorative justice. We're going to put this package together. I want everybody to know the realities of the medical, what somebody goes through. I want Judge Camacho to talk about what should be done in our court systems with victims of human trafficking. And then I will talk about survivors and what I need from all of you. We need to do this, warriors. We need to communicate. I don't want your child or grandchild to be the next victim. It is being done online. It is being done at your kitchen table. Our vulnerable children are being groomed right in front of us. And we're not even knowing about it. We have to beat the predators at their own games. Big tech is controlling everything. The metaverses are here. They're not coming. That's for another program. If you sign up for my newsletter, go to linswarriors.org, scroll down on the right side, it says e-newsletter, sign up. This week's newsletter, which went out this morning, yesterday, and I resent it this morning, talks all about the metaverses. I break it down so you can understand exactly what it is, exactly what's coming, and exactly what we need to do. But what we need to do is just talk to our kids. What we need to do is understand what they're looking at online and work with them and leverage them to be our digital warriors, our partners. Because if you scream at kids and say, no, 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 you and I both know they will run towards whatever that is. But if we find some common ground and we find something good on the internet, we can share that. I also always suggest you need to have filters. You need to have routers. You have to learn about how you can have a router, to your device and split it to go to your child's device. I was also talking today. I did my weekly radio program, Lynn's Warriors, on WVOX here in New York, about the entertainer Pink. And I thought it was very interesting that she was on a TV show and talked about she doesn't allow her 10-year-old daughter to have a phone. She said, although there's a lot of good stuff, with the internet available, there's a lot of shadowy kinds of things going on. And I thought, how terrific. Somebody actually speaking out. It's always up to a parent when you want your child to have a phone. I want to remind everybody, a child can have a phone that has no internet on it. You can program numbers such as mom, dad, grandma, grandpa into that phone and just have texting or the calling capability, no internet. But that's up to you to do that. But I liked what Pink said. And, she was called out. Oh, she's such a strict parent. No, warrior. She's a very responsible parent. And again, it's up to the parent to decide. So nobody should be, telling parents what to do. I simply never judge. I offer solutions, suggestions, and things you need to look for. So with that being said, I want to remind you to go to protectyoungeyes.com, find out about safety features, filters, sign up for the newsletter, everything tech you need to know. You know about the company Bark. I always recommended BARK, monitoring apps, emails, text messages for you for a very nominal fee. You can also sign up for a free 7-day trial. So why wouldn't you try all this for free to help you? Because we know everybody's overwhelmed and has so much to do. So get some help, take some help, ask for some help. So we have March, Women's History Month, and I'm talking about they want to decriminalize the sex trade and have an open air sex market here in New York. They want to have brothels, a brothel perhaps next door to you in your apartment building, Airbnb brothels. Times Square will become a red light district with sex shops. What is the world? I'm not going to say the world. I'm going to say, what is our country coming to, warriors? The writing's on the wall. If you listened to the State of the Union last night and read between the lines, a lot of malarkey, as we say. So with that, I want everybody to study up about Women's History Month. This full decriminalization of the sex trade in New York, we cannot have it. We need help. You go to equalitymodelnewyork.org. Please sign our statement of support. We need all of you in New York to do that. A reminder, March 10th, 6 p.m., Lynn's Warriors Live in New York, 3 West Club, 3 West 51st Street. Intimate conversation, dinner, Q&A, and some goodies to go along, some takeaways for you. We were shut down during all of COVID, and now our events are coming back. So you'll be hearing about many more new and exciting things. And a reminder that also, my guest today was Tim Winter. Tim Winter is the president of the Parents Television and Media Council out in Hollywood, parentstv.org. I urge all of you, grandparents, parents, trusted family members, go to parentstv.org. I want you to see Tim's petition to HBO Max, to AT&T, the parent company, about this show. I don't like to talk about it because when I talk about it, I know you'll go and look at it. But it's a show called Euphoria on HBO Max, and it's marketed to teens. Now, the actors in the show are young actors, above 18, but they're playing teenagers under 18. This show is so full of graphic violence, sexual content, full frontal nudity, bullying, cursing. These teens are out and about having sex nonstop. It is horrific. Now, the problem with this, warriors, is that adults are looking at this show, and I know because I know what's going on in our society, and looking at kids as these sexual beings. HBO defends it and says the actors are over 18. That may be true, but they are playing 15 and 16-year-olds. There was a very graphic in a current episode of a boy being raped by his own father. Do our children have to watch that? And it's being marketed, remember, to the kids. Remember, our children are the product. They're the ones that make money for all of these streaming companies. I don't even like to call them entertainment companies, because a program like Euphoria to me is disgusting, non-essential, and I'm no prude, warriors, but we don't need that graphic sexual content, that graphic violence. We simply do not. So, this petition at parentstv.org, right there on the front page, please sign your name, hit the send button. Tim has done all the work for you, and numbers count. Parents and grandparents must take action. We cannot allow these predators to win. So, you've got that. We'll talk more tomorrow about the Earn It Act. We have a final vote on the Senate floor. It's coming to that final vote. Bipartisan, all of these things. Parents TV Council, bipartisan. The work I do, bipartisan. Earn It Act in Washington, bipartisan, to hold big tech accountable. We cannot trust others to do it for us. We must do it. And I know we can do it because we are warriors.